the current events that I really want to share with all of you. Okay, so I tell myself that in order to be part of this society and this world, I need to make sure that I read many different types of news every day. Master does this, and Master told us that we should watch Diet TV. I do, and I don't think it's enough. So I make sure that I subscribe to a lot of online periodicals and also online news and outlets, and I try to get some balanced information. And most importantly, there are many things that are not on the headlines, but it caught my attention. And let me tell you some of these stories. Okay, so hang on. Okay, so you just heard my phone ring, and let me make sure that, yeah, because people might be looking for me. I apologize. Hang on. Okay, so let me be quick about this. So this is on the Bloomberg news, and what this is talking about, Pakistan. So what's happening? And let me explain to you what this story was. Okay, so we all remember what happened in 2022. So February 24th on 2022, what happened? Well, the Russian invaded Ukraine. And what happened was, we don't not only see the world in that war, the world around this war also changes. So I highlight this story because we all see what's happening on the surface, but around it, many things are happening. This is like a macro world where many things are all triggered because of one event. So when the army invaded Ukraine on February 24, 2022, gas prices soared, right? Especially the LNG, right? Because many reasons, Russia being one of the main LNG exporter, and also the war intensifies and all of this. So the gas price soars. So what happened? Well, guess what happened? There's a group of people that deals with these commodities, these LNGs, right? Liquefied natural gas. And what they did was, there were already long-term deals with Pakistan. And one of these commodity dealers made a decision. They knew ahead of time that if the war were to break out, then the price would soar, and they're going to pay the penalty for terminating the LNG long-term deal, and then sell it over to somebody else on the spot, which is the market price, and then make a boatload of money. So that's what happened. So if the gas were to be delivered to Pakistan, which is the original target, then the value of it would be about 200 million. But instead, they were able to unload it for 3 times that much. And so many people got, 7-figure or 8-figure bonuses that year because of this. And what happens was, in Pakistan, what happens? Well, number one, they ran out of LNG, they ran out of these energy. So factories were forced shut or dramatically cut their output. People lost their jobs. People lost their jobs and their way of living. And so many workers, all of a sudden, the factory was stopped, no electricity, things were changed. And so they were thrown into poverty, fertilizer plants threatening food production. Now more things were happening, not just on the very front where electricity were cut. And not only that, because now Pakistan had to buy more LNG to fit its own electricity plans or electricity grid. So what happened was, it had to pay a lot more than their long-term deal. And so they're pushing it to the brink of default. And it had to take the economic reforms and also receiving a bailout from the IMF. Now, this is the story that we probably only saw from the war perspective, right? The fertilizer that were produced in Ukraine that were sort of affected, and maybe the Russia and also Ukraine, they were all major food exporters, and now they're all affected. Well, guess what? No, people are making money of it, and people are destroyed because of this. And so this is what happened, right? So next story, right? We know that, probably many of us know, that Tesla is probably one of the most well-known electric vehicles brand in the world, but they actually don't produce the most. Who produce the most? Well, the electric vehicle companies in China. And now they're actually gaining a bigger share of the world's electric cars. The problem is, in the front of not using the fossil fuels, of taking us into the next stage of an energy evolution, of making sure that we're not putting more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, we're making more and more electric vehicles. The problem is, with all these subsidies, they're supposed to be making these electric vehicles. What happened was, at each new generation of EVs come out, the old EVs gets thrown behind. The batteries, all the cars, all the chassis, they got thrown away because they are no longer used. And they were sort of comparing this to when a couple of decades ago, when in China they were also promoting making sure people ride more bicycles, and there are also long bicycles, shared bicycles, and there's a lot of that in Taiwan too. And when the entire industry began to produce a lot more of these bicycles in order to fit that goal of making sure that we have more EVs, all of a sudden, when the policy changes or when the subsidy is no longer there, then you have all these trash lying around, just like all these electric vehicles. When they're the first generation, second generation, third generation, when you're already up until, so many generations later, you are making a lot better mileage out of these electric vehicles of the new generation. What do you do with the old one? You throw them away. You park them in parking lots and the weeds grow all around them. That's what happened, right? So there's so many things happening around. It's not so clear. It's not so simple to just tell you, read the Sutra and it's going to solve the problem. It doesn't. So what happens? What can we do? This is another story that I found to be very, very interesting. Very interesting. So we all know that there is going to be a commodity called carbon, that it's going to be traded when a company or a country that is a net exporter of carbon, that means they produce more carbon, then they have to pay this carbon tax. So now it becomes an industry that if you can suck carbon out of atmosphere, you are actually net negative, so that you could now sell that net negative to somebody who produces carbon for money. Now, this sounds like, hey, there's a need, right? I can produce this. You want this commodity, you pay for it. The problem is, this is very interesting. An oil company that took control of this billion-dollar project on carbon capture. And what that means is, so what does that mean? Carbon capture essentially means that carbon is it's not the most, but it's the most abundant. It's not the most potent, but it's the most abundant greenhouse gas in the atmosphere. So they measure this by the particles of carbons in the atmosphere to tell you that we're going to be 1.5 degrees or 2 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial levels. So one of the ways to make sure that we help the atmosphere or help the world is by taking the carbon out of the atmosphere. So instead of thinking about not pumping in there, they begin to think about, just like a tree, if you can take the carbon out, then maybe that would do the atmosphere some good. So this is what they did, right? The company, what they would do is that they would forcefully, I apologize. Okay. They would actually take the carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. And to do that, who is doing that? It's the oil companies that's doing that. And why are they doing that? Well, they have the expertise. Guess what? These are the oil companies. And what they did was they would buy aging domestic oil fields. That means they were already drained, they were already planted, they were already sucked out. The entire oil field were already sucked out, but there are still some remaining. There are many people looking for me. I really apologize. I really apologize. Hang on, okay? Okay, hang on. Okay. Now, yeah, people looking for me. Okay, so sorry, these interruptions happen all the time. Okay, so this story was very interesting because the way to take the carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere is difficult because they're not concentrated. Carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is not concentrated. So how would you be able to do that? And also pump it. Where do you store them? You pump it into deep into underground. Guess who is doing that? Who has the expertise to do that? Oil companies, because there are always these oil fields, and they will pump the carbon dioxide into the ground, deep into the ground. So it pushes out the remaining oils that's remaining underground. So they have the expertise to take the carbon dioxide from atmosphere and then push it into the deep into the bedrock or deep into earth so that it could push out the gasoline or the petroleum from underneath the earth. So now they're thinking, hey, we have the expertise and let me do this for you so that we could produce more oil. And this sounds really, really, it sounds not weird. It sounds very scientific. If your end goal is to take the carbon out, then that's what you're looking for. Regardless of means, you're going to do that, even if it means produces more oil. This sounds very paradoxical, but this is happening. So somebody says that when you have an oil company whose leadership is vocal about the direct atmosphere capture, providing social license to continue oil production 80 years into the future, it's very strange because you're thinking something is wrong here. This is our world. We're talking about all these wonderful SDGs, right? We're talking about net zero. We're talking about reducing carbon dioxide. But who are doing this? These are the people that are putting the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere in the first place. And this is very interesting. So the oil company's executive said, we need to extend the life of oil production because it's the most intensive energy source that we need to do it for the world. And so too many people are focusing on killing energy sources rather than killing emissions. The common enemy we have are the emissions. Get rid of the carbon in the atmosphere and we're home free. Okay, so it's something. And so somebody, said finally with a moral conclusion that it's a shiny technology that would allow the world to avoid making hard decisions about energy use and continue business as usual. So the danger is that this is a way for you to not to take something that's harder. This is a way to deepen out the path because you know that maybe I can't change the way that I live. I'm going to need my car. I'm going to need my air conditioning. I'm going to need all these, natural gas or something that burns oil, petroleum, or natural gas to produce electricity because I cannot live without my phone. I cannot live without my electricity, my computers. So I'm going to need them. So in order for you to not having to part with your lifestyle, you find a way so you don't have to do that, right? So last story, okay? And this is something that I thought was heartbreaking, okay? So one business decision made the world's losing battle with malaria even tougher. So what happened was this. So we all know that in Africa, or in this particular case, it was Papua New Guinea, cheap, durable, easy to distribute insecticide-coated bed nets. So you put them around your bed so that mosquitoes won't come in. And so malaria will not be transmitted by the mosquitoes. So you protect yourself from the mosquitoes. Well, the problem is when you're not in the bed, inside a bed net, you still are going to be bitten, right? So these bed nets are actually very important because they're coated with insecticide. So that when the mosquito come, they actually get shot, stunned, might even be killed. So the transmission gets stopped right there. So this is a very cheap way, easy way, durable way. For more than 2 decades, it's very important in the African region or in the Southeast Asia, where malaria is actually ravaging the locals. This is a very good way, right? So they don't just safeguard people sleeping underneath, right? Chemical coatings also help, right? So they have been credited with preventing 68%. So this is huge. It saves a lot of people for 15 years, right? So we know the Gates Foundation, they did a lot of this, stopping malaria. So they did a lot of this. Is good, cheap, people can use it, saving lives. This is good. So for 15 years, we see very, very positive growth in this, right? So now the problem is how easy that this path could actually go off the rails. But this place, what happens is that researchers first noticed a dramatic surge in malaria cases in 2017. For 15 years, 2000 to 2015, it was going steady down. People affected were going down. By 2017, there's an uptick. So in 2016, people think this is probably just an aberration. It's not normal, but it will go back. It will go back to the trend going down. But 2017, people start to realize something is wrong. It took another 5 years. Imagine how many people died because of this. It took another 5 years. There's a huge spike in 88%. So you can see the malaria. You read this news and you realize what's going on. And all these are suspected cases in millions. People's lives, family were destroyed because of this. And it goes up ever since 2015. Steady coming down and now steady going up. And there's a huge uptick in 2021, okay? So the company, what happened? Company had changed the chemical coating on the bed nets used in the country. Why? Rendering the PNG or Papua New Guinea's primary defense against mosquitoes vastly less effective. What happened? Why did you change that? Why? And so then they find out because the company said that there was a public health movement against forever chemicals. The chemicals that were used on the mosquito nets, they were called the forever chemicals because it cannot break down in nature. So there was a movement, a bunch of people thinking that this is better for the environment. And then they go on a strike and they go and say, please remove this, all your products. And so there was a lax oversight. People think that, oh, if you take a substitute, it's probably okay. Well, guess what? People in Papua New Guinea pay for with their lives, because ever since then, it was going up. Now, this was only something, and obviously the manufacturer denied this. Whether it's true or not, one decision could really derail this whole thing. So, I mean, forever chemical, we know that we don't want to leave a planet that was trashed by all these chemicals that cannot break down, right? Long after we're gone, you're going to have the future generation living with the planet with all these chemicals. And that's no good. So this is a good movement, except it will affect somebody else, right? Affect all these people. So what went wrong? Look at all these stories. What went wrong? What was the objective? In the first case, we're talking about Pakistan. We're talking about LNG ever since the war in Ukraine. What was the objective? Making money? Or just making sure people have electricity? What was the objective of the last case that we heard about, the Papua New Guinea, the malaria? What was the objective? Making sure that the chemical don't stay on the earth forever? What was the objective? Saving people or making sure that we cut cost? What was the objective? What went wrong? All these stories had the common theme that it all started out with something that we want to do to help, right? Electric vehicles. We want to do something to help, right? Electricity, the LNGs. But then what happened? What caused this derailment? And what did we learn? So we're short-sighted and we're not focused with the objective. And we give up very, very quickly. So all these are things that's happening with the people. So what can we do? I mean, you can't educate people on how they could be a better person. but you can slowly transform. That's what Master is trying to do. There's so many smart people out there. They know ways to make money. They know ways to try to get to their goal. But there are wise people. They're trying to get people to see that maybe what you're trying to do isn't morally right. Maybe what you're trying to do, you should think more about it. You should learn a better way to go about this, so then people are not hurt, so that people are not dying because of this decision, right? So that's where Buddhism coming, or that's where all religion comes in. All religion are supposed to help us to see the other path. Remember that story about the direct atmosphere capture, about the oil company that was trying to prolong using fossil fuel by making sure that it takes more carbon out of the atmosphere than it puts in. So is it doing the right thing? Or it's doing the right thing by taking the carbon out of atmosphere, but it's using fossil fuel. Is it right? Because it's not just the greenhouse gas, it's actually polluting the air. So however you see this, there was a quote at the end, remember, saying that taking this path just allows us not to see a harder path. Cultivators or practitioners are basically saying, what is the right path? Not thinking about what is the easier path. So here in the Sutra of Infinite Meanings, we're also coming at a junction. And I wanted to share with you the context. The context is this. Before Buddha expound or goes on to talk about the Sutra of Infinite Meanings, he had been teaching the Dharma for the 42 years. Ever since the Buddha was enlightened, he had been preaching to all his disciples for 42 years. Imagine, most of you are probably, I see here at North Zone, most of you are young, I can see. At least I can see from the hair color are mostly black. I see my hair are gray. So I know I'm already beyond 42. I'm 45. So imagine, Buddha had already taught for 42 years. But Buddha knew this wasn't getting the job done, because the practitioners and the cultivators there, they were learning and they were learning. They were learning that the life is suffering. They were learning that I need to get out of the suffering. I'm going to relieve myself of the suffering. If poverty is the cause of suffering, I'm going to make sure that I am not poor. That's essentially what's going on, right? If carbon in the atmosphere is the direct reason for global warming, to retrieve it out, but I'm not going to look at what I have done in the past. I'm not going to look at all these air pollution I'm going to put in. I'm going to take out carbon because you told me that the objective is to remove the carbon. And that's what worries Buddha, because for all these time, I talk about, hang on. So for all these time, hang on, let me just, okay, so for 42 years, Buddha was talking about, imagine at very beginning, enlightened, and the Buddha talked about life is suffering. So Buddha was explaining to everybody, let's get everybody out of suffering, right? So everybody had this mentality that I am going to stop. I'm going to get myself out of the suffering. This is samsara. This is a saha world. It's all suffering. So everybody's fixed on removing that suffering out of their lives. And Buddha was thinking, that's not the main message that I want everybody to see. The main message is, because life is full of suffering, and the way to relieve suffering, now you know. You can't do this alone. You got this. You will learn this, and you will achieve this only by helping others to relieve their suffering. But during the process, many people tasted the intermediate goals of temporary relieving part of the suffering, and they thought that was it. So they stopped. So for the 42 years, Buddha thought this wasn't getting the job done. So this is the beginning point where the Buddha began to say, maybe I need to change my tactic. I need to change the way that I explain. I'm going to go in a different direction where I'm going to tell everybody that this is the true path, that it's not just about retrieving carbon from the atmosphere. It's you have to change your lifestyle. You have to change the way you live your life. You have to live simply so others, not just people, but the world and also the other living organisms can simply live. You have to change the way you carry yourselves. You change the way you eat. You change the way you travel. You change the way you live your life. That's the ultimate way to transform all these things, not just taking carbon out of the atmosphere. That's the quick way out. And that's what Buddha was saying, that all the past 42 years, people were starting to say, well, if that's the direction, I'm going to just get rid of the suffering and that's enough. It's not, because true learning of relieving suffering comes from helping others and helping yourself, not just by getting yourself out of this misery, but helping others. And so there's a huge change in direction, and that started in the Sutra of Infinite Meanings, and then move on to the great Sutra of Lotus Sutra. So Sutra of the Infinite Meanings, essentially all the importance to this new path, onto this very important path that nobody should be sort of mistaken for a quick and easy solution. So there are 3 chapters. Chapter 1, virtues. Chapter 2, preachings. And chapter 3, 10 merits. And all these that we're hoping that in the future we'll try to intermingle with all the news and all the news stories that we'll be talking about. So hopefully we'll be able to get through these chapters and know, so what was the new message that the Buddha was trying to get to us? And why is it so important to all of us? And before we go on, I really want to share this, where we are. And this also deals with context, that it's very important to know, why did the Buddha decide to do this? Because if we all know that eventually the Sutra of Infinite Meanings and Lotus Sutra, it took about Buddha 7 years. And then eventually Buddha entered Nirvana, passed away. So it's a very, very tough time. Buddha knew he didn't have enough time. He probably wanted to do more to pave the road so people could very easily segue, move on to the next stage. But he didn't have enough time. Well, guess what? We don't have enough time either. So let me share with you this video. And this video was very true. It happened in last year, towards the end of 2023 and at the beginning of 2024. It's in Mandarin, but you can see what's going on.
总有一天，真空。
They were performing to an empty chair,
佛心失智，
and that chair was
妙有。
supposed to be seated
求上人多让我们靠久一点，
by master.
不要离开我们。
So it was empty. We're coming at this crossroad too. The context is, after 42 years of Buddha preaching, he knew that the disciples were getting there, sort of not getting the full story. Just like you're taking the carbon out, but you're not realizing the main important thing is, how do you change? Because just by getting the carbon out of the atmosphere, it's like, it allows you not to have to face another difficult path, but the necessary path. So a lot of disciples were taking the easy way out, but Buddha was running out of time. Guess what? We're running out of time too, because our teacher, and this is
总
another
有一
ending,
天，真空。佛心失智，妙有。
弟子们虽然在这里没办法直接听到上人您，希望让上人能够放心，我们一定会更加精进努力。
And this is very real. We're at that juncture too, just like 2,500 years ago, that Buddha realized this has to change. There has to be a change of course. It's not that what the Buddha taught was not right. It was true. But we, the disciple, or we, the ordinary beings, we got the wrong message. Just like the oil giant, they think that I can continue to produce oil because that's not the problem if I can get the carbon out of the atmosphere. You're getting it wrong. But who is there to stop them? If the measurement is by making sure there's less carbon in the atmosphere, he's doing the right thing. But maybe it's because our limited mind, we're not thinking right. What is the right thing? So I'm running out of time, but I want to show this.
接下来是大家最期待的时刻了，
I want to show
全体
this.
请起立，
I want to show this
请
because
合掌，虔诚唱诵开经记。
this is for every ceremony we welcome Master, and she would enter, and this is the first time that in the year-end ceremony, in about 2 months, where there are a lot of staircases that Master had to walk through. We were there, and we provide an alternative. Master doesn't have to walk down the steps. Master only had to go from the side. But Master looked at this and said, that's the path I want, even if it's that much harder. And you might think, how hard could it be? You're walking down steps, right? There are people next to you holding you. Every time Master walked down the stairs, I hold my breath.
恭迎上人。
Now let's take a look.
全体请面向
This is the
中央
first
走
time
道
in last year-end ceremony, where this is the first time she walks down this many flights of stairs. We all try to convince her not to do it because her legs are sort of, there's losing muscle, and the strength in it is not enough. But Master said, the reason why I walk in is because I want to be among people. I want to walk in the people. I want to feel, I want to see them. See what Master is looking at. Everybody's bowing, but Master takes a look at all the people around them. I want to be among all these people. So now she takes one step at a time. She insisted, even after we protested, Master, walking on flat ground is much easier. Master would lift her head up, look at the people around her. And finally, reaching the flat ground. And that's when we all collectively let out a sigh of relief.
全体请面向上。
So, what does that mean? The path is hard, but she chose to walk the harder path. And that's what we have to do. That's what this is. I'm going to skip over this video. I'm going to skip it over this video too. So the 3 chapters, right? Virtues clearly identifies our goal. The virtues of all our role models, virtues of all bodhisattvas, virtues of all the Buddhas in front of us, what they did, what they learned, why they do this. Just like Master, walking down that. For many of you, this is not hard. For her, this is probably the hardest part. but she insisted that's a harder path, but it's the right path. So she insisted on walking on down, even though she tells us that she had to exercise every day and she still doesn't have the confidence to do this, but she has to, she must. There's no way around it. So for the next 20 year-end blessing ceremonies, that's all she did. She did all of that. So I told myself, maybe I'm the one who is too chicken. Maybe I'm the one who's too scared. Master was not scared at all. It's I that is scared, right? Master thinks that this is a piece of cake. It's me who is scared. Maybe that's the case. But no matter what it is, it showed that even though there's a harder path and an easier path, if that's the right path, that should be the path that should be taken because we want to do what is right. So virtues, all these people, the first chapter, share with us or get us on the path that is the right. Then preaching clear path of how to get there. This is showing you the role model and then telling you that these people did this to get there. And then 10 merits. Now it's your turn. Let me tell you how you can get started by taking the first steps. That's the Sutra of Infinite Meanings. No longer are you talking about theory. No longer are you talking about just, these are the afflictions. How do you get rid of it? All these mind games. No more. The past 42 years, all these theory talking about how to attain enlightenment. The last 7 years talks about let's take the first steps. Let's do this. And let me share with you how you can do this, right? So we're going to get into this probably next time, but this is the key, right? So there are going to be so many important parts, but I want to share with all of you that this is the very important part of the first chapter. And I just wanted to show a brief part that this is how Master does her work. This is how also, I believe, Buddha did his part too. That even though it's the harder path, that it is the path that needs to be done, whether it's because we're out of time, whether it's because the disciples are not getting it, not learning it, whatever the case might be, this is the path we need to be on. So Master laid the groundwork for us and made sure they were on this path. And then many thanks to the Singapore, the book study core team to allow us to journey together onto this path that must be traveled. It might not be easy. It might be boring. It might not be what you think. It might not be as fun as what you would like to do, but it's something that is necessary so that in this world where weird things are happening, like electric vehicles are right. So why are what's wrong with it? Well, there's a lot of things wrong with it, right? So all these mosquitoes, we're having these nets. So what's wrong with getting rid of this forever chemical? Something's wrong with it. So this world, there isn't a very clear of what is right or wrong. But because of Master, we are very certain, because of Buddha, we're very certain that this path is right. Just walk this path and it will be the right path to do. So even if it's the more difficult one, there are a lot of people walking with us, so you're not alone. So thanks to the team, and until next time, they're hoping that we will get more into this sutra and more in depth with what the Buddha was trying to tell us and how the Master guided us through all this journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Joe. So for such a wonderful and insightful sharing with us. So it is, I'm sure many of us who are listening in finds it really very interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting and mind-blowing because in every event that happen, there are many causes and conditions. So we tend to look at it from a very simplistic view, but in actual fact, there are many factors at play. So things are really getting more complicated. So, and we are very fortunate that we are in Tzu Chi because Master have shown us the right path. We don't have to go searching anymore, and we can just follow Masters, just continue to walk on the path that she had created. She had paved the way for us, and then she just wants us to walk it, and she has shown us that through her own example that she walked the path. and she wants to be among the people. And so must we, so we have to just follow it. Trying to understand all these global events that occur, sometimes it can be quite a heartache and headaches. So I think we just need to follow our master direction, and then we'll be safe, because we have large group of people that walks the path together with us. So Brother Joe, do you have some time for us to ask questions, Q&A, or do you need to go now? Okay.
Yes, I think I should stay for a bit. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
If anybody want to have any feedback or questions, I can't guarantee that there's going to be answers, because I definitely know probably not as much as you guys. So but you're free to ask, and no guarantee on answers. So feel free.
Okay, that's great. So if anybody has any questions to raise, just raise up your hand, and take this opportunity for all of us to learn from Brother Joe Huang. And, if we have to grasp the opportunities, the opportunities doesn't come very often, so only once a month. So from what we have heard just now from Brother Joe's sharing, is there anything that you have some doubts in your mind? Anything you want to clarify? Anything that you think that, did I get it right, or did I hear it wrongly? Or South Zone and North Zone, if there's anyone from your side, you can just unmute your mic and just speak up. Yes, and we have more than 70 participants online logging in through Zoom. If you have something to ask, you may also unmute yourself. Yes, it's such a wonderful opportunity. Anyone? Okay, maybe Brother Joe, I'd just like to ask a question. Okay, you mentioned about that we have to look at things in the proper context. The context is very important, rather than just taking things very superficially, looking at just from the surface, or just taking the teachings or the sutras literally. So when we look at things in the right context, how do we know that what is the right context? Is there any guidance that we can base on to at least guide us that yes, we are putting it in the right context and not the wrong context? So yes,
this is a very, very good question, Brother Andrew. Thank you for asking. I will not tell anybody that what I said is 100% exactly how 2,500 years ago that's how it happened. I can't, because I wasn't there, and even I was there, I don't remember I was there. But I think one of the very important things for me was that when I was reading through the following master to go through the Lotus Sutra, and I would, you would listen to it every day, and you would sort of get pieces of this sutra every day, because every day master talks for about an hour, so it's a lot of content. And so to just dive into that content, it makes you see all these important parts, but you sort of cannot, you sort of have to pull yourself back and look at the big picture. So all these pieces, the sutra did not connect all the dots for you. You had to connect the dots. Sort of like, imagine this, right? Imagine if I ask you what happened 5 years ago, and maybe you were, you were 5 years ago, you were, enjoying a trip to another country, to the Americas, with your wife, with your family, right? And you would realize that everybody has a different memory of that day. And not only that, something that you think is so real, it turns out to be that your mind sort of makes up the two things that you remember that were true, and then sort of the mind connects the dots and make it seem real. The way that I see and read Sutra, I think it's very important that when you see all these dots, you have to make sense of it. You have to make connections from it. I cannot guarantee that that connection is exactly what happened 2,500 years ago, but it has to make sense for you to be engaged in this Buddhist teaching. If you are not believing in what you're reading, then it's going to be very difficult to buy into what the Buddha was saying. So for example, between chapters, what happens? It's not like Buddha just talks nonstop. So there has to be off time. There has to be downtime. There are things that's happening in between the beginning of this chapter and the end of this chapter and the beginning of the next chapter. Even within the same chapter, there might be a break time. It might be today and tomorrow, just like Master. Master speaks in many sessions, and all these sessions there could be pauses and stops along the way. And we don't know what happens in between. But we have to make sense of how to connect these two dots so that to you, the story makes sense. All of these things make sense. Because if it doesn't make sense in your mind, when you say it, it's not going to make sense to other people hearing it. Now, does that mean that it's the 100% truth? I can't guarantee. But I believe that might be the truth. That might be one part of the truth. And as you hear from more people explaining those dots, then you're going to make minor adjustments to sort of tweak it and sort of to see that maybe there's a different way to sort of interconnect all these dots. Because for the Buddha, it's not like Buddha did this in 1201, Buddha did this in 1202, and 10 minutes later, Buddha did this in 1211. It's not contiguous. So you have to make sense of it yourself. You have to make the connections. So what happens between the first 42 years and Sutra of Infinite Meanings, and then what happens between the Infinite Meanings to Lotus Sutra? There is a bunch of things that happen in between. We're not going to be able to see and know all of this. We have to make sense of it ourselves. Now, does that mean you're making things up in your mind? Yes. Connecting the dots. You are logically concluding that is probably right and that is probably true, and then go from there and then build on top of that assumption, and when this is no longer true, then you go back to the assumption and you say, well, maybe this is not true. Does that make sense? So it's not about, we're not historians here to try to prove this sutra is right versus that sutra is wrong, or your interpretation is wrong or that interpretation is right. We're not historians, but who are we? We are followers and disciples of the truth, of the teaching. And I believe that other than the words that were left for us, there were not in the writings. How do you figure and learn from the teachings that are not in the writings? Well, there are hints and there are clues. And if we look close enough, we're going to be able to see that. Just like when you see Master walk down, the video of Master walking down, there are hints telling you that why Master looks up, looks around, right? So hang on. Okay, so that's how I learn, or that's how I immerse myself in the sutras, because I don't just read what was written. I try to extrapolate what was not written, and I try to put myself in their shoes. What if I was the person asking this question? What if I was the person answering this question? What if I was a bystander witnessing these people exchange question and answer? What if I was there? There must be something that that I am not seeing, or that it's not written down. It might be so trivial, like just like the video of Master walking down. Perhaps if somebody were to be a reporter covering that day, they would only probably say that Master took each stride very, very, laboriously, and it was very difficult. But finally, after 40 strides, she made it. But if you look closely, every step she took, she would lift her head, look around, look at the people that were next to her. This is her idea of walking among the people. I'm with the people. I am not all by myself deep in the mountains. I am right here with them. Even if they're not able to talk to me, but I believe Master listening and sensing and feeling everybody around them. There was one time, I'm going on and on, but there was one time that Master was talking about asking everybody to listen to the breathing of the world. How can you hear the breathing of the world? I mean, how does the world breathe? We don't know, but Master can hear the world breathing. And not only that, there were a group of artists who was trying to record the sound of nature, the sound of world breathing. And so then they played it for Master. And then they would ask, Master, right now, okay, they stopped the music, and Master said, right now, what are you listening? What sounds do you hear? And Master said, right now, I not only hear the train goes by, I hear about 50 different types of sounds. And, I'm not going to go into how, like supernatural-ish this is. But when someone is so calm and reaching the state of such stillness that they are able to detect all the things around them that's moving. And that's what she does. She's so still that she can feel all the vibrations and all the sounds around her. And so that's what she did. Walking in the people, I believe she's sensing and feeling them, seeing them, hearing them. That's what she wants to do, to walk in the people, among the people. So she chose that path where nobody would say a thing if we were to take the alternative way of just walking the flat. You don't have to take the stairs. And maybe for all of you, you might be thinking, stairs, there's no problem, right? Master always tells us that we have to walk the stairs. Well, she's nearly 90 years old. And she's making sure that, we're making sure that at least, her legs are strong and continue to walk. Okay, so that's how I study the Sutra. I don't see myself as a historian. I see myself as the disciple of the true Dharma. And is it true? Well, if I can use it, if I can internalize it, and so that I could be more wise, so that I could become like Master, so that I could, reach my inner stillness or the inner tranquility. I think that's important. That's important. Okay, so I'm not going to say how do I know if this is right, or how do I know if this is really what happened. But I do know that I think it's very important for us to make sense of all the things that were said. And if we're not able to make sense of it, all we're doing is regurgitate. All we're doing is re-saying the words that the Buddha said. And if by re-saying the words that Buddha said can make us become Buddhas, then there should be a lot of Buddhas before me already happening. So I don't think that's the way. There must be a different way. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Brother Joe. So my takeaway from this is that we have to really make sense of what's happening around us, what's going on in our minds. And the best way to do this is to be among the people, among the masses, and connecting the dots. So first we have to be able to comprehend what are the dots that is going on, that's in our mind, and then to make sense of it so that we can connect it in such a way that it is still we are basing on the principles of the Dharma and what the master's teachings are, which is basically loving kindness, compassion, equanimity, joy, and giving. This is what we are practicing, the 6 parameters. So as long as we do this, I think gradually, we'll be able to connect the dots correctly or in a more correct way, and to gain clarity in our understanding of the world affairs or what's happening around us, so that we can contribute in a positive way, in a meaningful way, rather than just becoming a bystander of and watching the world goes by. Okay, so anyone else? Anybody has questions to ask our pure practitioner, Brother Joe Huang?
Brother Andrew, I would like to also add that the reason why also I did all the stories ahead, or all these world news ahead. I mean, most of these news, you probably are not going to hear them or see them on the headlines, but they're happening. It's also sharing with you that if I were the oil company executive, I might be thinking that, direct air capture, atmosphere capture is a good thing, right? And if I'm the manufacturer of the mosquito net, I might be thinking that forever chemical is not good and I'm doing the right thing. In this world, it's so difficult to really know what is right? I mean, even doing Tzu Chi, there are 10 ways of doing the same thing. How do you know which is the best way? You don't. And sometimes you think you know, while the other person thinks that his way is better. So there's so many doubts, right? There's so many maybes or ifs, or what are you going to do, right? How can you prove? Well, I really believe that walking the path that Master had laid out for us, I don't have to worry about it. I have absolute faith that the path that Master laid out for us is the right one. So I can put all my attention in walking this path rather than thinking second thoughts, having second thoughts about, is this the right? Am I doing the right thing? You spend all the energy trying to prove it's right, and you forgot that your task is not proving it's right. Your task is walking the path. So I think I consider myself very lucky. Not only that Master has laid this groundwork for us, the path for us, but I also have the faith that I'm willing to walk this path. So I think that's why I also put the stories or the news up in contrast, because the world isn't black and white. There's so many things that are so complicated, but I'm glad that this is very simple. Follow the path. It's not the easiest path, but I believe, Master, I believe this is the right path.
Yes, absolutely. We all believe in Master, and so we just need to walk the path. Okay, anyone else? Yes, please.
Hey, brother, this is Frank. It's really a breathtaking kind of sharing from you. And myself, I work in the US company, and my company, what we do is producing military products. So the more chaotic the world's gonna be, or the world's gonna be, it's better for my company, for myself. So yeah, definitely, it's very hard to really to know what is right or what is wrong so superficially, because what is right for somebody, it could be wrong for the other person. But I believe for tonight, I believe it's really, really right for everyone over here on this room, and also for those on the Zoom sessions, because we actually earned some bonus. We thought that we could only have you for about 40 minutes, but we have you for about 70 minutes. It's just a bonus for all of us. And then I'm a slow learner. I try to digest what you just share with us. It's really, really good. I'm the East Zone leader, so I definitely going to promote this to the rest again. That's I really hope that there's more of that city volunteers to come to join these sessions, and because we don't really have a lot of opportunity that we can have it by monthly basis to have someone like you to do this kind of sharing with us. So it is very, very grateful to have you, bro. Thank you.
and many thanks to the core team also for arranging this. And I think it's a great encouragement to me that I have to keep on reading and keep on finding all these interesting news. And sometimes you just roll your eyes. I mean, there's no black and white. But then you realize, the world is complicated, and the military things are there to protect, so that maybe one day we don't have to use it. So you need to have a certain force so that you can keep the peace, right? You need to prepare for war, and that's also true. But Master goes a much more direct way, right? Just making sure, just 净化人心, purify hearts, because if that can be done, then you don't have to worry about having weapons. But that's going to be so far off, right? So we're being really realistic. We're being really realistic. Master behind me, but I have to be really realistic. We're living in this world, but Master believes that one day we will reach there, and I believe her too.
Thank you, bro. Sure. Nosum, we have one question. You can please turn on your mic.
Written on? Can you?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Hi, Brother Zo. Hi, I'm Yenlin here. I'm new. Okay, so I would say that I'm very new to hear about all this sutra, and this is the first time I'm here. I would like to say what I felt about this tonight is very meaningful for me. I would say thanks. I would like to say that actually I don't love reading. So you talk about the sutra or 经典, I would say hate it. But it is true, it's be honest to myself. Okay, but all the while what I'm doing thing is actually I follow my heart. Because I would see all around my world, sometimes I saw around my people, my friends, my relative, my family. Normally when I see some things that, the people is suffering and people, they need help, I told myself that I want to do something. So for me, it's that I'm not like reading, but I like to do something. So I know that the people is called for help. I need to be there. So it's either in the financial, emotion, everything, but I know that I will be beside you. This is what I'm doing all the while. Actually, I get to know about Chiji when I was studying university 28 years ago. So after 20 years ago, when I'm studying at the, actually I'm Malaysian, but right now I'm a Singaporean. So at the time, I'm the University of Malaya, I get to know about Chiji. At the time, they have a camp, Hualien. At the time, they have a great love mother. That time, this is the first time, I get to know about the Chiji. So when I would say that I want to share my experience that, is, I would say that when I joined that camp, actually for me is that, yes, this is the things that I want to join in future. This is the thing that I want to, this is I would say that, because for me is that let's say you want me to go to temple and then go to pray all these things. I can't. But if let's say you ask me to do something to help, yes, I will do it, because I'm the people that I like take action. So it's true that actually I would say that normally when people we just follow our heart, whether I would say that, whether I think that it's the right thing to do, I would do it. So just now what you shared, that exactly that what I'm feeling is that actually I would say that I'm doing the right thing. I joined the Chiji, like what you say that we are not alone. We have so many people here. And then like what you say that, we help people, then but internally that we feel very happy when we get to help people. So actually I would say that from after I graduated, I come to Singapore and I work about 17 years. From these 17 years, actually my role is as a supervisor. My supervisor also, I have a lot of people, 100 of people. So there are a lot of people. So for me, it's that also is a helping people, like coach people, to like what I say that reach their wisdom, you have to coach and don't think that way and all these things. So actually, I really do such thing. Then in my internal people, I also coach people, to be how to be succeed and how to be kind, all these things. So that's why I say that. But after I would say that right now I retired. So when I retired, I would say that I'm a workaholic. Actually, it's really no good. I feel that I would say that it's no good workaholic, but I can't control myself. So at that time, I like crazy, but always bring my work back home, So until I work, and all these 17 years, I know that it's enough for me. I should stop it, I have to calm myself, I have to bring all my time to think that what is more meaningful for me, my life more. So once I retired, I always say that I retired because I want to accompany my son. At the time is in primary 1, because I know that time is precious. We want to be, I want to be grow together with my son, accompany with him, educate, all this kind. I would say that so that right now my son is very sec 4, so no need to me to be worried already. And then during my retired time, actually, I would say that I will never waste my time, because I know that the people around me, the people that I love, it means that my family and my relative, I have a people is suffering. So from there, I started, to spend time, like what your Tzu Chi said, 陪伴. I do a lot of things because like you all have a 感恩户, all this guy, I would say that they have some case that the people, just have they cannot get out. Like what's 有苦的人走不出来, then 有福的人就走进去. So actually, before I joined Tzu Chi, actually, my heart is really doing that, because I know that now I have time, I'm no longer working. So that's why I come into, to save my people, save my people that I love. At the time, I haven't go into like what I say, the 人间. It's not yet. At the time, I spend a few years, I have to save, I will have to accompany, to my relative, so that I can get out from the 苦, I would say 苦难, so 救他从苦难. So I would say that I use a few years, from the people that I would say that is a kind of one of my relatives is that they have a stressful for more than 10 years, at home, don't want to see anybody. The people that is xiao, is crazy. Nobody want to, in touch. Actually, it's my my auntie. I have more than 10 people. My mom is the elder sister. So they have 10 people in the family. Nobody want to dare to be courage to, to talk to them. They say that xiao xiao or zao, xiam. So, but at the time, I'm still, the time for me, because they are at the
Hi,
stage.
sister. So sorry to interrupt, but may I know what is your question to throw to give it to our brother Joe so that he can answer first? Yeah.
Oh, actually,
Sorry about that. Yeah.
sorry. Actually, it's not about question. It's more on like what I'm sharing, my personal experience, like what the brother Zoe is sharing experience. So that's why when brother Zoe share experience, so for me, I also feel internally, I also have that kind of a very deep kind of experience. That's why I'm here to join Tzu Chi. So tonight, actually, I would say that I very thanks brother Zoe that really that I don't know the sutra, all these things, but tonight after attended your class, and definitely I'm sure that next time I will be here again. Thanks for
Great. Thank you,
brother Zoe.
sister. Thank you so much for sharing. And hope to see you again next month. Okay. So, hey, listen, everyone. I know that we have a pretty huge turn up rate for tonight, in fact. Do you mind if you can turn on your video so that we can capture some picture as well?
Frank, just before going on, I'd like to respond. And I think that Yan Li is, I think Yan Li is her name, that she's very capable, but I think she's very blessed, because knowing what you want in life is one of the most precious gifts we can have. You are so driven that it is very important. So keep at it. What the sutra or what the path helps you is that you're always trying to get better. Today I might not like to read. I don't care about all these teachings. I just want to help people. That's who I was. When I was first doing Tzu Chi in college, that's exactly, I told the people, the Tzu Chi volunteers, don't tell me about 上人说什么. That's your 上人. That's not my 上人. I don't really care what 上人说. I believe in my own wisdom or intellect. I believe in the science learning. That's all these teaching. That's not something I believe in. But eventually, on this path long enough, you help people enough, you're going to connect the dots, helping. Something is missing in the middle, and I feel empty, and I want to learn more. I began to pick up books to do things that I hated to do. My parents would say that we have two children in the house, and me and my brother, and I'm the one that hate studying and reading. Now I go home, I pick up the books and I start reading, and my mom said, amazing, this is what happens. And yes, because you begin to improve on your own, you begin to change. So you're very blessed because you know what you want in life. And I hope that this path will lead you to a better self, a better you, a better tomorrow, and also for the people around you. So you're very blessed. Thank you. Thank you for your sharing. Thank you. Okay, Brother Andrew and Frank, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Brother Joe, and thank you, sister, for your sharing. So, in view of the time, now it's 9:20, so probably Brother Joe Huang needs to attend to something else to our US volunteers. And as we have witnessed today, Brother Joe is super, super busy. He has so many phone calls, so many people looking for him. Joe. For the rest of us, we can stay online. We can continue with our sharing. But here, I would like to thank everyone for participating, and we hope to see you again next month, same time, and on the second Friday evening of every month. So let's all wave to Brother Joe. Yeah, turn on the videos and wave to Brother Joe Huang, and
Okay,
express our
bye-bye.
gratitude, sincere gratitude to him.
Stay safe. Everybody stay safe. Bye-bye.
Okay, so I'm sure everyone has enjoyed today's session. It's such a wonderful session, right? So
We lost 20 participants.
well, I'm sure they have gained a lot over the past 1.5 hours. So yeah, it's truly amazing that we have people like Brother Joe Huang who can express masters, who understands masters so well, so deeply, that he knows what is master's objectives, and he knows what is master thinking about, and what does master want to do. And then he will then piece them together, put them together, and present it to the volunteers, all like us, in a way that we can understand and a way that we can relate to our worldly affairs, what's happening, and also while we're doing our Tzu Chi missions. So yeah, so we really need to make good use of such opportunities to try to learn and relearn again, what we have learned in the past, and to really revisit them, and really to see whether has things changed, or are we still looking at things from the same angle, or now are we having a broader vision with a bigger heart, with an open mind. Okay, so it's important that all of us here, after attending this, we need to go back and recollect, okay, to reflect again, and then to see light in our our daily lives or during our work. Okay, so really hope that this session has been beneficial, but the benefit of it is not just tonight. It has to be expanded. It has to be applied to our daily life. And like what Brother Joe says, we must have the strong faith in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and of course faith in our master. Our master is of course the Sangha, and faith in what she and the path that she had created for us, and so we just need to walk it. Okay, so things are very complicated nowadays, so we really have to have a firm, unwavering mind not easily distracted, not easily being swayed or disillusioned, deluded, which is very, very easy. We are also vulnerable now in today's world. But then again, we have Tzu, we have our Jingsi Dharma lineage. We have our Tzu family. We have things that we can do together to benefit the people who are in need, to relieve the sufferings. So these are the right things. So as long as we do the right things and we do it right, then we can be confident and at ease that we are walking on the right path, and we are not alone. We don't walk alone. Master is leading us in front, but we have many volunteers, brothers and sisters, and monastics, the abroad monastics, who are guiding us and accompanying us and advising us along the way. So really hope that we can make good use of this such a good affinity that we have, and let's not waste it. So okay, so this will be closing for tonight. And along the way, if any of you have any feedbacks, please feel free to raise it up to your zone leaders or the zone coordinators. Okay, and if you have any questions that you want to ask Brother Joe for the next session, please, you can also write it down and then submit it to us. Then we can send it to Brother Joe first so he can prepare to answer your questions. Okay, so just like what has been going on for the Malaysia team. So the Malaysia English team, they have also started this book study. So a lot of them has asked many questions. So Brother Joe has a list of questions that he need to answer, one by one. But he really put in his very best and using his wisdom that is so insightful for us to learn from him. Okay, so any questions, please write it down and submit it to your respective zone leaders or the coordinators, and then we will be sure to submit to to let Brother Joe know so he can prepare to answer your question. Okay, anyone else has anything to share or to announce or anything? Okay, if not, then thank you very much, everyone, for your participation. So let's end our session today with 3 bows to the Buddha. Wait, let me share the screen. Okay, everyone, please rise. Let's put our palms together and make 3 bows to the Buddha. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Good night, everyone, and Kannan for your time tonight. Good night and see you soon.
Cảm ơn brother.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew, and
April
everybody.
12 will be our next session.
And our Zoom.
April 12, second Friday.
Thanks.